Hi, we are here today with Mary Frances Noser and Max Blanc from the great short film Stuck. And I was telling them earlier that it definitely did stick with me. So the name was very apt. And I loved this piece. It was a really authentic, nuanced exploration of an unconventional, non monogamous relationship, showing both the joys in the exploration, but also there's some undercurrents of unease in traversing your own path that may go against the norm. So I can't wait to hear more from both of you and how you brought this to life. So first and foremost, I'd love to know more about your backgrounds in acting as artists, because you're both clearly trained and can handle the intimate roller coaster that this piece was. So,
Yeah.
Mary, you can start us off, and then
Yeah.
with you.
Um, so I go by Mary Frances. That's the
Nice.
the
Mary
full thing.
Frances, love it.
I Goodness gracious. So I started acting when I was 9, not professionally, but like children's classes and then children's theater. And then I studied acting at Emerson College, where I got my BFA in theater and performance. And then I studied abroad at London Dramatic Academy.
Cool.
High school, I did Interlochen, so like zigzag
Yeah,
pattern. But Max and I actually met in an acting class, which is then kind of like was a springboard for this particular thing.
that's very cool.
Yeah.
And I came to acting later in life. I first well, thought I wanted to be kind of focused on writing, directing. And I mean, that's very much still part of my life. But I discovered my love for acting because when I moved out to LA, I'm from London originally, and I
Okay.
moved out to LA. And my first job in LA, I was working at a talent agency. And I was like, I want to meet creative people, people that I could potentially collaborate with to make movies. And so I joined an acting class. That was at Beverly Hills Playhouse, and I kind of caught the acting bug there. Then my first scene, and that feeling when you do a scene and you hear everybody applaud, and even though they applaud for everybody, you get that like chills moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
kind
Like something got to them. Okay, there's maybe a purpose
of,
other than it feeling good. Maybe, yeah, there's something here.
Yeah.
exactly.
Creative
So I
expression
explored that.
about being alive that
Yep.
actors tend to
Yep. I am.
not to.
I
Yeah.
was I was a child. Mine was 9 and sitting in a circle. And my teacher in our class, she was like, bring in something about yourself. And so she was like, I'll do it too to model how we're gonna do this. So she was in the class, the play at the theater I was taking classes with, National Children's Theater. And she was like, hi, I'm Courtney. I work at Starbucks. And she held up her apron and she's like, and I'm in that show. And I was like, okay, bet that's what I'm gonna do. It was like that on.
That
Oh
rocks.
my God.
And where did you two meet?
In
So
an class.
acting class is
Max
called,
Table.
yeah, it's at the Hudson Theater here in LA.
Nice. And Mary Frances, you wrote this piece, correct?
No, I did not write this piece. So
Okay.
this was written by one of my dear friends, Emma Grace Lukens, who, funny enough, was visiting another acting class I'm now in. And I turned to them during break and was like, hey, like, would you ever want to direct Max and me in something? And they were like, uh, yeah. And then at the end of that class, they were like, here's my idea. And I was like, that was fast. And then a week later, I had the first draft of the script. And then a week after that, I think I talked to Max. And then a week after that, we had a team.
Wow.
So it was
Been
crazy.
very fast.
It was like one, two, three, done.
Well, I think
Yeah.
everybody is willing to work with good people. And when you kind of speak the same language, it's just kind of waiting for somebody
Yeah.
to make that first
Yeah.
step. And then, of course, you're going to do it, especially with good people.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so that's how this all got underway. Very cool. Now,
Mhm.
I thought something that was so integral to the success of this piece was the the intimacy between you two. Fully believed that shared history and the vibrant chemistry bouncing between you two, and just the total intimacy of sharing a lip gloss to the physical touch that noted the history. And when it worked. And there'd be certain times where you're like, oh, that was a miss in terms of
Yeah.
intimacy. So, how did you two foster this open and honest intimacy? And were there specific exercises or conversations you had to have to get to this successful place?
Uh, Honestly, great question. And thank you for asking.
Mhm.
Max and I work together a lot. I think. And so one of the reasons why I turned to Emma and said that is I was like, exactly as you say, making things with good people, but there's
Yeah.
also just language that he and I have
Hmm.
when we make things together that we stumbled upon in our acting class. And I was like, let's do this all the time. And
Yeah.
Max has been like, okay, sure. Um, but yeah, I think like we had that coming into it, but also we were really intentional about like what does each space mean? What
Mm.
is the background of these people? How did they come into this particular relationship? And what keeps them here? And then
Yeah.
continuing to like check in with that all the way
Mm.
through because the dialogue is so on top of each other and like rolls in and out of things
Mhm.
that we really had to, I will speak from personal experience. There was one rehearsal we had where I was like, I don't know where this goes. I just know how to start it, but I cannot tell you my line in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Like I just know like once I'm in it, and we're just
Yeah.
gonna wrap that train all the way through. But that's because we were so intentional about what each particular moment meant
Cool.
and how to communicate what that meant. And Max, please take that
Yeah.
away. Just anything.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, look,
Mm.
it's funny because the very first time I met Mary Frances, like you just had such a welcoming vibe. I mean, you're just
Mm.
have such a positive energy. And so when we first met in class, like I'm more on the shy side of things. So when I'm in a big class setting, I tend to just sit in my corner and just stay there. But Mary Frances came over and was very welcoming, and so we chatted and we kind of got became friends really, really quickly and really
Mm.
fast. And we've always joked around that even though at that point we hadn't known each other all that long, it feels like we had been like friends for a very, very long time. So
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
some of that inherent kind of connection that I think probably bled into the piece. But
Yeah.
then, I mean, just from when Mary Frances and I were working together on other scenes in acting class and just kind of keep finding what our rehearsal process looks like,
Mm.
we brought all of that experience into the rehearsal process for this film. So I think part of the success of it is that we were super rehearsed by the time we
Yeah.
got to the actual set. Like we knew the characters so well, we knew what was going on between the lines so well. And so even though the dialogue is tricky and it can be easy to miss something, like Mary
Yeah.
Frances, we would always tell each other, one of us will catch the other, right? So if someone goes up on the line, you just have to stay in the moment and trust that the other person will catch you. And we will, because we know the story and we know the characters, we're gonna be okay. And so I
Yeah.
think it, at least for me, allowed us to be a bit looser on the set and have a lot of ease. And
Hmm.
so we didn't do too many takes too. I mean, the way the film is shot, it's like it's a oneer, right? It's a
Oh
one
my
long shot.
goodness. The whole time I was really feeling, I was wondering about that. I said, is this actually a one shot? And that
It
forces
is.
you to really be in the moment. And
Yeah.
that's like quite the challenge, especially you don't have the option to change environments or have that little breather or, oh, can we pick that up from there? It's very
Yeah.
much sticking with it. So I guess the rehearsal process must have helped with that. Um,
Yeah.
how long was that process?
That's a good question. Do you remember, Mary Frances, how long we rehearsed for?
So we Emma and Emma had the idea mid first week of July of 2023. And then we had the full team by August. And we started, I would say we really started rehearsals like end of September because we started our fundraising campaign at the beginning of September. And then we shot it November 2nd of 2023. So it was really a month and a half
Month and a half.
that
Yeah.
we like we're really unpacking and picking the whole thing. But as
Yeah.
exactly as Max said, like it almost in a lot of ways it felt like it was like past lives of 6 or 7 times like coming on top of the
Yeah.
language we'd already established and the process we'd already established. So by the time we
Mhm.
got there, it was like doink,
We're ready. Yeah.
yeah, we're done. We're like
Exactly.
great. Like it's the most relaxed I've ever been on day one of a set. Because like
Wow.
it's like first day of school like jitter vibes when you
Yeah.
because you're like so excited, but also you've been working on this for so hard and you want it to go well.
Yeah.
Uh, but I definitely remember like coming in the day we were going to shoot, and I was like, "Oh, sick!
Let's
Let's
do
go!
it.
Let's
Yeah.
do it!
Let's
Let's do
play.
it!" Yeah,
Yeah. And that's also a testament to like, I mean, Emma everybody put together such a warm and welcoming team, and
Yes.
everybody was so great and so fun and so friendly.
Yeah.
And so it kind of gives you the permission to just to let your guard down a little bit and just
Yeah.
kind of, enjoy the process and have fun.
I think that's really integral to the success of this piece too, where we have to feel like it is very easy and natural because this is the relationship and this is one of those postcoital conversations where you're most relaxed and you're most honest or vulnerable. So I think that really came through. I also was wondering about I love when the environment is created. So we have the ephemera, the little items that make up their day to day. So it created that intimacy of the space too and made these people, oh yeah, they have lives and they have
Yeah.
like certain styles. Did that help with sinking into it as well?
Oh, for sure. We were
Yeah.
like so lucky to have so many incredible artists from top to bottom on this thing.
Mhm.
And our set designer and our costume designer and our lighting director really worked in like a team of three to be like, okay, this is how the light is going to then come off of like my clothing and how off of Max's clothing. And Emma, our director, is really cognizant about color and what is
Yeah,
color
that's true.
communicating, and specifically working with our DP or our assistant director, Raina, and the two of them really coming up with this like language of color that was going to move through, and then giving that to Angelica, our set designer, and her like doing that, and then Michelle, our costume designer, like complementing it. So it was a palette that they built on top of each other. And then we're like really specific about like, okay, this is this particular piece that they used at this particular time. Like the photos in there we
Mhm.
shot, like everything in there was completely thought out.
Mhm.
It was
Yeah.
awesome.
Way.
Yeah. And it's also like, I was mind blown because when the set was not a real bedroom.
Mhm.
It was not shot in a room at all. It was shot. How do you describe like a photo studio? Was it a photo studio?
So it's a small green door in Commerce, and there are both a product development center, an arts
Okay.
development, like a fine arts development center, and also just like a shooting space. So we were literally on cement ground in this
Yeah.
like gigantic room. But Angelica was like, cool, I'm gonna make this into a bedroom, and was like, blah, blah, blah. And
Yeah.
so when we came in, it was like, this is just if you had taken someone's room and we're looking at it this way instead of this way.
That's
No,
so
exactly.
cool.
It was
That's
no, it
really
was very impressively done, and also just from going back to the attention to detail.
Yeah.
There's just something about as a performer when you're laying in a room where everything is so intentional and everything is so personal to the characters. It's almost like a physical portal into the lives of the characters
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
I think we've all been on sets before where maybe there wasn't that attention to detail, and you kind of have to do a bit more internal work to really kind of make
justify it.
space justify how the space is connected to the character, whereas here the work was done for you, so you just kind of lay in those nice pillows and blankets and like we're
Yeah.
ready to go,
You're like,
You can
okay,
look
we're
over and
supposed
be
to.
like, oh yeah, here I am. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Yeah.
really cool. Yeah, I felt that's very surprising that it was just in that kind of space. So also extra points for you on the acting, both of you, for making
Thank
that
you.
feel very real.
We
Um,
were really taken care of.
yeah, definitely. So thinking about these characters, they're married, yet in an open relationship. I
Mhm.
think what I really liked was that real love underneath and that joy and that respect and like cheerleader for one another. But then we also get those lovely undercurrents of, yeah, the apprehension or the jealousy, the unease. And nothing was overblown. It felt like this very delicate balance being held until the end, where we don't get to find out. But what was both of your processes on tapping into who these people were or what their motivation was? Usually there's an in. At
Mhm.
least I find there's like some in for this character. I'm like, oh, I get them now. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a great question. Max, you want to take it first?
I was hoping you'd take it first.
Oh, okay, great.
But no, I can definitely go.
Okay.
I can go first.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny because when I first read the script, and I think Emma and I had a conversation about this where the character is very different from me, but there's also, like anything, there's similarities. But I think Emma put a lot of themselves into both characters. I think they would always describe how both characters they have parts of both of these characters within them. So it's very much the character for me really came to life through in the rehearsals, through the conversations with Emma, and kind of really understanding how the character feels. Because the most important thing in acting is no matter whether you're the same as a character or different from a character, or you agree or disagree with them, you always have to see where they're coming from.
Yeah.
Um, and so Emma and I just had good conversations about where Conrad was coming from and what those parts of themselves are. And so that just allowed me immediately to kind of, again, put my guard down and just trust in the words, because that's the power of how this was written. The characters' perspectives are so clear on the page that it just allows you to, if you just kind of trust in the process and you say and you say it um, with knowing how the character is connected to Emma, that just kind of helped me kind of bring Conrad to life. And then I bring all of anything that I can of myself into it to kind of flesh it out,
Yeah.
even or like even things like Conrad's mannerisms. A lot of them are my own mannerisms. So
Yeah.
that's kind of how I find my in, is I
Mhm.
take what I know about the character and then I see what is my own that I could bring to them, and then we create this little mixture,
Yeah.
and that's how it comes to life. If that makes any sense.
Totally makes sense.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, that's really nice grounding.
Finding so it's I think very similar to Max. Like Emma was very much talking about this the two different sides of themselves that Ginny and Conrad represent.
Yeah.
And I, as a person, align a lot with Ginny myself.
Hmm.
And a lot of my conversations with Emma about a variety of topics is like I'm on the Ginny side and Emma's on the Conrad side. So first giving this to me, I was like, oh, yeah, yeah. So like the way into it was more like, no, like I think about certain things in this particular manner. I
Mhm.
mean, I don't necessarily go about them the same way she does. So that's like the finding who she is particular moment in time, but the emotional undercurrent of I was like, yeah, been there. That's very real. Kind of like a mirror in that particular way. I
Yeah.
think so. There are certain characters that I feel almost like I'm here and the character's here, and I have to walk into,
Mhm.
okay, where are they coming from and why are they doing what they're doing? And once I figure out like the impetus for the logic of their actions, I'm in.
Mhm.
And there are certain characters where I'm here and the character is like here. And once I find the emotional place that they're sitting in for that particular moment in time, I'm totally there.
Wow.
It's like a 1 to 2 because it's like, that's real. I understand what that particular circumstance is. Let's go. And a
Yeah.
lot of that was in Ginny specifically.
Cool.
Uh, Mannerisms wise, I think that's where some of the difference is like there were definitely some stuff that she does that I also do, but some stuff that I was very pretty intentional about was like, this is Ginny and not me.
Mhm.
Almost like an inverse to Max.
Yeah.
Close to me emotionally, but not necessarily movement wise.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
really interesting.
I
Yeah,
think
because
well, that's probably the reason why it works.
it's nice to have or be close to the writer so you can have those conversations and to be able to pick through like, okay, so what about this or why'd you do this? And it's easier to have that empathy and that understanding with
Yeah.
Yeah.
with the text. So what a gift that is.
Yeah. And like Emma also, I don't know if they did this with you, Mary Frances, but at least with me, they had me over at their apartment and we played a playlist of
Yes.
of
Yes.
music that either reminded them of Conrad, or music that Conrad would be listening to, or music that kind of reflects some part of Conrad's state of mind. So it's not only like you're not only getting the words, and you're not only getting the perspective of like Emma's experience and how this character is similar to them, but I'm also getting like an auditory experience that
Yes.
puts me in the mindset, right? So that's
Yeah.
it was a very smart way to a very smart, very new way to rehearse. And I when I incorporate that more as I move forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard before a coach would say, what's the song in that is in this character's heart? And I
Oh,
was like,
I
"Hmm."
love that.
But then I thought about like in a scene, like, yeah, what's that little song that's like they're like singing to themselves, or what would like get them into the scene? I love that kind of stuff. Anyway, you can ground physically or sensually instead of
Yeah,
intellectually, I think is a pretty, yeah, impactful way to dig in.
Yeah.
100%. And a lot of this was written in and around music. And Emma and I have been
Mm,
friends for a very long time. And so there, and I'm also an extremely music creative person in terms of
mhm,
music I like make or on my own, but that's very much tied to how I do character. And so like that was the Emma presenting that, I was like, done. Let's go. I'm already there. Like I already had this idea for what I think this particular song is. And they were like, well, what about this one? And I'm like, oh no, really?
it's a
That
twist.
too? No.
That's awesome. Okay, so I wanted to know about in terms of the actual filming of the project, was there any surprises as you were doing it, or any memorable moments that stuck with either of you?
It's a really good question.
Yeah.
Just put me
I
on the spot.
I would say so. I mean, surprises, and I think we touched on it a little bit earlier too, but I was surprised that I ended up feeling so at ease because usually, I mean, anytime I film something, yes, of course, there's always nerves, and there were certainly nerves here, but sometimes I feel like in the past, like the nerves would find its way into like the first take, and that is a very natural thing to happen. You're a little tense, you want to say the lines right, you don't want to make a mistake. And so you have a lot of things in your head, and at least for me, the first take usually is kind of hard to be present. But here, because of the rehearsal process, because of the fact that I knew Mary Frances so well, the fact that I was so comfortable with the crew, the fact that the attention to detail was there on the set and you really felt like you were part of this world. From the first take, I was having a great time.
Yeah.
And I
love that.
wasn't in my head about it, you know? I
Mm-hmm.
think that was surprising because I always kind of expect to be in my head. But I didn't feel that as much. And then that kind of just allowed me to really just kind of just chill out and ride the rest of the wave, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
I would say very, very similarly, and like a huge testament to the incredible work that our crew does is there was a 45-minute to an hour holdup with our lighting setup that Max and I did not know was happening till we had wrapped. Like there was this whole thing that they were trying to figure out that Emma was so intentional about keeping Max and I in our like we had done our warm up, we had done our intimacy coordination like touchstone thing. And then they were like, I'll come and get you. And so we had this really beautiful in between space. And
Mm,
since I produced the project and have produced before, that part of my brain is like cognizant just because this is something I had produced, but also it's just a part of the way that I think. I didn't even catch it. I did not
good.
even
Sneaky,
catch it. I
sneaky.
was just like, this is fully theirs. I 100% trust everyone here, and I'm just gonna get to exist in this space. So by the time we did get to that first set, like that first take, again, that nervousness part was
Mm,
not there because they had so insulated us to let us just exist,
I love that.
which is such a gift as an actor.
Yeah.
Such a gift.
Yeah.
Listen, all directors for future projects, hide your actors
Please.
from the technical stuff if
Mhm.
possible. Yeah, let them live in this lovely land. Oh, I love that. Okay, another question I had brimming.
Mhm.
What do you think Ginny says at the end? Did you
Oh,
decide on something? Did you each have what you think she might have said?
mm. I, depending on the take, the wording of it would be different, I
Hmm.
think. But it's the long and the short of it is I'm in love with only you. Like,
Mm,
like this is it. Like we've been running from this for so long, but
hmm.
it's only you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very cool.
Yeah.
And did
Lots
you
of
have
I
any
try
idea?
not to think about it because I was like, Conrad would have no idea, right? So I
That's
don't
great.
even want to know. But I think, yeah, Mary Frances, you were talking about how like on the day, I think you had told me like depending on how you feel at that point
Mhm.
in the scene, what you say is going to have there's going to be a slight shift in what it is that you want to say.
Hmm.
And then when we did all the multiple takes, the way you said Conrad kind of
Yeah.
suggested because there was all kind of different. There's a different texture to each one. So
Yeah.
every time it's kind of getting me on my toes, you know, and I was like, great, that's
Good.
perfect. But I
Great.
don't know.
It means
Yeah, actually getting to play in the moment. That's really lovely. And I think what we're always hoping for, and that's the joy of having that open end for us to project whatever we want onto it.
yeah.
Cool. Very neat. Just in wrapping up, I would love to chat forever about this project, but I will go and tell everybody to go and watch it. But are there any projects on the horizon that you're excited about? I know that's like
Yeah.
a dreaded question for actors. Every time I say, if there's
Um,
something, it's a great question. If there's nothing, it's like, I'm working on it.
like trying to figure it out. Yeah, yeah, no, very
Yeah.
true. I will be in a production of Romeo and Juliet, where I am Juliet here
Yeah.
in LA from March 27th through March 30th. So that we're probably going to be at a theater in North Hollywood, but if you follow my Instagram, all the information will be there.
That's awesome. We have a lot of listeners in LA, so I'm sure
Great.
it'll be
Amazing.
awesome.
Amazing.
I no me, I don't. I'm my other job is video editing, and I have quite a full year of an editing project, and I'm also getting married, so planning the wedding.
Congrats.
Take
That is
my
exciting. That is a thing that
That's
you can be excited about
that's
with
a whole,
profession.
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
exciting indeed, but it's a full plate. So, but as of now, on the acting side, no clue. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, editing and creating pieces is definitely a creative project. So congrats on that too. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for chatting today. That was lovely.
Absolutely.
So
Thank you so
nice
much for having us.
to meet you guys in the work and also meet you
Yeah.
in virtually, I guess, in life. And I think this piece will definitely have a life from here. Absolutely. Do you
Mhm.
think we'll ever meet these two again in a future project?
Yeah, we're making that happen.
I love it. I love to hear it. That would be very cool to see where they go on their next journey. And
Yes.
yeah, meet in another conversation, maybe another one shot kind of above the bed, same
Yeah.
place,
Okay, we'll have to
different
see.
time.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much.
Thank
And I'll be sure to keep tabs on you both, and hopefully we'll
Thank
get to
you.
chat about future projects.
Yes,
Sounds
please. Would love
amazing.
that.
Likewise. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for having us
Thank
on.
you so much for
Thank
having
you.
us. Welcome.